My brother's wife showed up at my apartment shaking, holding my nephew's backpack, and begged me not to call my brother. At first, I thought they had a normal fight. Couples argued. People said things they regretted. My brother Ryan had always been intense, but I never saw him as dangerous. He was the kind of man who spoke too loudly at dinner, corrected people in front of others, and called it being direct. His wife, Emily, was the opposite: quiet, careful, always smiling like she was checking the room first. They had been married for 6 years, and from the outside, their life looked stable. They had a small house, a 4-year-old son named Noah, and the kind of family photos where everyone wore matching colors in the fall. But that night, Emily didn't look like a woman who had just had an argument. She looked like someone who had been running from the moment she left her driveway. She stood in my doorway with wet hair, no coat, and one shoe untied. Noah was asleep in her arms, his face pressed into her shoulder. "Can we stay here tonight?" she whispered. I stepped aside immediately. When I asked what happened, she looked past me toward the window. "Please don't tell Ryan I'm here." That was the first moment my stomach tightened, because she didn't say, "Don't tell him yet." She said, "Don't tell him I'm here." I helped her put Noah on my couch. Then I gave her a towel and made tea she didn't touch. Her hands were wrapped around the mug, but her fingers kept shaking against the ceramic. I asked if Ryan had hurt her. She shook her head too fast. "No, not like that." That answer made me feel worse, because it sounded rehearsed. I asked what she needed. She looked at me for a long moment, like she was deciding how much of her fear she could afford to share. Then she said, "I need a place to keep something safe." She pulled a large brown envelope from Noah's backpack. It was sealed with tape. Her name was written on the front in black marker. I asked what was inside. She said, "If I tell you, you'll look at your brother differently." I didn't know what to say to that. Ryan was difficult, controlling sometimes, but he was still my brother, the person who taught me how to ride a bike, the person who picked me up from school when our parents worked late, the person who once punched a wall because someone made me cry. And now, his wife was sitting in my living room like he was the person she feared most. The strangest part was what happened next. Her phone started ringing. Ryan's name filled the screen. Emily froze. She didn't silence it. She didn't reject the call. She just stared at the screen until it stopped. Then a text came through. "Where are you?" A second later. "Don't make this worse." Then another. "I know you took it." I looked at her. She closed her eyes and whispered, "He already noticed." That was when I knew this wasn't a normal fight. I asked again what was in the envelope, but she begged me not to open it unless something happened. I hated that sentence. Something. It was such a small word, but it made the whole room feel colder. I told her she could stay. I gave her my bed and slept on the couch beside Noah. But I didn't sleep much. Every time my phone lit up, I expected to see Ryan's name. By morning, he had called me 9 times. I didn't answer. Then he texted, "Have you heard from Emily?" I stared at the message for almost 5 minutes. Part of me wanted to tell him to come over and explain everything. Another part of me could still see Emily's face when his name appeared on her phone. So I typed back, "No, what happened?" His reply came fast. "She's being dramatic." We argued. She left. "If she contacts you, tell me." That was exactly the kind of message Ryan would send. Short, angry, making it sound like he was the reasonable one. But then he sent another text. "And don't get involved." That line stayed in my head. Don't get involved. Not, "I'm worried." Not, "Is Noah okay?" Just don't get involved. Later that morning, Emily came out of my room wearing one of my hoodies. Her eyes were swollen. Noah was watching cartoons with the volume low. I told her Ryan had messaged me. She looked like she had expected it. Then she said something that made my chest tighten. "He'll come here next." I asked why. She said, "Because he knows I don't have many places left." That sentence changed everything. I started thinking back. Emily used to visit my parents all the time. Then slowly, she stopped. At family events, Ryan always answered questions for her. If someone asked where she was working, he would say, "She's taking a break." If someone asked why she didn't come to birthdays, he would say, "She's tired." I remembered her canceling lunch with me 3 times in 1 month. Every time the text sounded polite. Every time Ryan somehow mentioned later that she was bad at keeping plans. At the time, it felt like small family tension. Now it felt like a pattern I had missed. Then the doorbell rang. Emily grabbed Noah so quickly he started crying. I looked through the peephole. Ryan was standing outside. He had one hand in his jacket pocket and the other on his phone. He didn't look panicked. He looked annoyed, like someone had moved something that belonged to him. I didn't open the door. He knocked again. "Maya, open up." My name sounded sharp through the door. Emily whispered, "Please." I kept the chain on and opened the door only a few inches. Ryan smiled when he saw me, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Hey, is Emily here?" I said no. He leaned slightly, trying to look past me. "You sure?" I told him I hadn't seen her. His jaw moved once. Then he said, "She's confused right now. She took some documents from the house." Documents. I felt the envelope in my closet like it was burning through the wall. "What kind of documents?" I asked. He laughed under his breath. "Adult stuff. Bank things. She doesn't understand what she's doing." That bothered me more than his anger. The way he said she didn't understand. Like she was a child, like her fear didn't count. He asked to come in. I said I was busy. For the first time, his face changed. Not much, just enough. The smile disappeared. "Maya, I'm your brother." I didn't move. He stared at me for a few seconds, then stepped back. "If she contacts you, tell her to come home before she ruins everything." Then he walked away. I shut the door and locked it. When I turned around, Emily was crying without making a sound. Noah was holding her sleeve. That was the first emotional hit. Not Ryan showing up, not the texts. It was seeing my nephew trying to comfort his mother because he already knew when to be quiet. After that, Emily told me pieces. Not all at once. She said Ryan had taken control of their bank accounts after Noah was born. He said it was easier that way. Then he started checking receipts. Then her phone. Then her messages. He didn't want her working because daycare was too expensive. Then he didn't want her seeing friends because they were bad influences. Then he started telling our family she was fragile, forgetful, unstable. She said it so calmly that it hurt, like she had spent years learning how to describe pain without making it sound too loud. I asked what was in the envelope. She said, "The reason he can't let me leave." Inside were copies of credit cards I'd never seen, loan papers, and a stack of printed emails. My brother had opened accounts using Emily's information. Some were in her name only. Some had her signature on them. She said she never signed them. The biggest one was a personal loan for $38,000. My mouth went dry. Emily said she found out because a collection letter came to the house while Ryan was at work. When she confronted him, he told her it was temporary. Then he cried. Then he yelled. Then he told her no one would take her side because he had already spent years making her look unreliable. That was why she was scared. Not just because he was angry, because he had built a version of her that people were ready to doubt. And I had helped him without knowing. Every time I nodded when Ryan called her dramatic. Every time I accepted his explanation when she missed another dinner. Every time I thought, that's just how they are. I had given him room to keep going. The main reveal didn't come from the papers. It came from a recording Emily had on her phone. She didn't want to play it. Her thumb hovered over the screen for a long time. Then Ryan's voice filled my kitchen. He sounded calm, cold. "You leave with my son, and I'll make sure everyone knows you're unstable. You think anyone will pick you over me?" Then Emily's voice, small and shaking. "Please give me my cards back." And Ryan said, "You don't get to take anything until you stop acting stupid." I felt something inside me break. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a clean, awful split between the brother I thought I knew and the man sitting inside that recording. I had no speech ready, no perfect response. I just sat there with my hands on the table, staring at the envelope. Emily whispered, I didn't know where else to go. That hurt more than anything, because she should have had many places to go. She should have had mine years earlier. I told her we were going to handle it carefully, not with shouting, not with family drama, with documents, dates, and people who could protect her. We called a domestic abuse support service. Then we contacted a lawyer. Then the police non-emergency line. Emily made a report about the threats and the financial fraud. She opened a new email account from my laptop. She froze her credit. She changed every password she could remember. For the first time all day, her hands stopped shaking. Ryan kept calling. Then my parents called. Then my mother texted me. Your brother is worried sick. Emily is putting him through enough. I almost replied in anger, but I didn't. Instead, I sent one message to both my parents. Emily and Noah are safe. Do not tell Ryan anything. There is more going on than you know. My father called 2 minutes later. I answered. He sounded irritated at first. Then I played him part of the recording. There was silence. Long, heavy silence. Then he said, Is Noah with her? I said yes. He said, Keep them there. By that evening, Ryan knew the family was turning. He sent me one last text. You have no idea what you're doing. For the first time, I didn't feel small reading his words. I felt clear. The next weeks were messy. Emily stayed with me, then moved into a short-term apartment with help from her sister. Ryan tried to deny everything. Then he tried to say Emily had agreed to the accounts. Then he tried to say stress made him make bad choices. But documents are harder to intimidate than people. The bank investigation started. The lawyer filed for emergency custody arrangements. My parents stopped letting Ryan control the story. Some relatives still wanted to stay out of it, which told me enough about them. Emily wasn't suddenly okay. She still flinched when a car slowed near the apartment. She still apologized too much. Noah asked for his blue dinosaur from home and cried when he realized he couldn't go back yet. But they were safe, and that mattered more than keeping the family comfortable. Months later, Emily sent me a photo of Noah at preschool, holding a crooked paper crown he had made. She wrote, He slept through the night. I sat in my car and cried, not because everything was fixed, because for the first time, I could see a life for them that Ryan didn't control. My brother lost more than his marriage. He lost the version of himself he had sold to everyone. And I lost the excuse that family means ignoring what is right in front of you. Emily asked me for help because she was scared of my brother, and helping her made me realize the scariest people are not always strangers at the door. Sometimes they are the ones who taught you how to lock it.